Hi everyone, it's Michelle from Boozy Bakers. We're going to be making lasagna workshop today. Lasagna workshop? We're going to make lasagna today in this workshop. So I will wait for you all to join on before we get cooking and see who we've got. Feel free to say hi. It's a very interactive workshop this, so whether you're watching and making later or whether you're cooking along with us, we will take your comments, any questions you have, just let us know. So I've also put on for various changes to this lasagna. So if you are looking to make a vegetarian dish, you can either use corn or you can use more vegetables. You just want to pack it out really, so it's nice and chunky and got lots of texture and goodness into it. I'm seeing some thumbs up. Oh, bear with me, that's not good timing. Sorry about that. So Yvonne's doing some shout outs to a few people. Linda's saying hi. Sheila says hello. So I'm just going to give everyone a chance. See the numbers going up. I don't want to start without anyone. But I've got all my ingredients in front of me. I've tried to put it all so you can see all the ingredients, but because I've got the hob as well, it's a bit cluttered. So if it's underneath your comments, don't worry. I am going to go through quantities as we cook, so you know what we're using. Hi Lara. Hi Nadine. I've actually got my hob on already because it's electric rather than being at the proper gas cooker. It's really slow, so I've got it heating. So if I look a bit flushed and like I'm in a sauna, it's because the heat's rising. Sharon says, looking forward to this. I can't make lasagna. Oh, Sharon, you will be able to. So I will say that this is going to be a bit of an easy go-to lasagna. So you can get lasagnas that are, you do the bolognese sauce and then the cheese sauce and then pasta and bolognese and cheese and pasta and you layer it all up. This is a sauce and pasta layered and then the cheese over the top. So you will be able to make it by the end of this. We've got some more highs from Katie and Susan and Alison and Priscilla. Sorry if I'm looking like right at you, just making sure that I'm reading the comments right. Okay, right, so I'm going to say what we need today is you're going to want a wide-based pan to put your bolognese sauce in, and you're going to want a medium pan. Milk pan might be all right, might be a bit shallow, so just make sure you've got a bit of depth to it. Medium pan to do your cheese sauce. The other things you're going to need is a lasagna dish. So I've got one here which is 25 centimetres square. You need it to be oven proof. It doesn't have to be square. You know what, you can even make a circular lasagna. It doesn't matter. The only thing I'd say is if you are, this is for like a family size lasagna. If you think, goodness, I'm not going to eat my way through that, you can always put it into two separate dishes and then freeze one and then eat the other. The other thing I'd say about this lasagna is it's great next day as well. So if you cook it up for tonight's dinner, and you've got leftovers, tomorrow with a bit of salad for lunch, it's beautiful. So I hope that helps. But as I said, any questions, then just let me know. Looking forward to your workshop. Brilliant. Right, let me just make sure that my microphone doesn't drop into the pan. Right, okay, so we're going to put some oil. Now you might hear my oil sizzle immediately. Just remember that mine's got heat on it just because it's a bit useless, this electric one. So you can put your oil in and then turn your heat on. But you want about the equivalent of a good tablespoon and a half of olive oil. And then we're going to let that heat. I'm going to turn mine down a bit. And you're going to want to dice your onion. So I've got a pack of onions here. Or you can use red onion or white onion. You can use shallots. Just drop my onion. There we go. This is quite large. Another thing I would say is this is all. Sorry, someone's desperately trying to get hold of me. I'm going to try and put that on. So, fine news. Okay, so you can use as much of a little onion as you want. This is to taste. A lot of this, it's not going to affect the lasagna. It's all about what you prefer taste-wise. Definitely don't want to fry the microphone. No, I don't. Yeah, I've got to say, Louise, lasagna is one of my favourites. It's my go-to comfort food. And I do always do workshops wherever I'm doing them on things that I like, whether that's sweet or savoury. And I just think it's a great thing to make. And you can do it in advance as well. So we're all going to feel smug after this that we've got dinner sorted. I know I will. I'll sit down with a cup of tea, leave it on the side resting until you're ready to put it in the oven, and feel very smug when the kids come down saying that they're hungry, that we've got it sorted. So I'm just chopping up an onion. I'll see if I can show you. Bear with me whilst I just shimmy everything over. So I will keep bringing it up because I'm aware that it's behind the comments a bit. Where is the minced beef from? Right, so ours is just a Sainsbury's minced beef, but you know, if you've got your local butcher that can you can get minced beef from, then do that. We're doing online deliveries at the moment, and we're trying to do just one a week, so we'll see how that goes. Right, Chambers tuning from Broadford, got more highs. Excellent. Right, so this is chunky. If you don't like onions so much as a texture, you can dice this really quite tiny. But hey, this is a lazy lasagna, so you can chop it up in quite kind of chunky pieces. So that's mine. And also no crying. If you do it a bit quicker, no crying. So will this be a veggie one? I'm putting mince in mine, but you can use corn, or you can just add more mushroom. You can use courgettes. You can add more vegetables. So I've given you a couple of ideas, but to be honest, this is particularly good for sneaking vegetables into. So you could do some, if you've got some roasted butternut squash, so I'm just doing the other side of my onion. If you've got some butternut squash, you can roast it up and add that to it. I would always go for something that's been that side, if it's a root vegetable, roast it first and just soften it down. Peppers, you can put peppers into it. Whatever you have. I mean, go a bit masaka and put some aubergine into it. I had Morrison's frozen mince, was okay. Yeah, that'll be fine. So my onion's in, and I'm heating that on a medium heat. I'm just going to get my spoon and give that just a little bit of a stir so we don't burn it. There we go. So just start softening your onion. Watch them fingers. Oh, yeah, I know. I've got some new knives as well, and they're a bit sharp. Right. So I will show you the progress of my pan, but at the moment, I'll bring it into shot. It is just onions in there. Right. To that, we're going to want to add garlic and courgette and mushrooms. So just keep giving it the occasional stir so nothing catches. Get one, just one courgette will do. But as I said, if you're, could you use corn, mushrooms, courgettes, peppers and other veg instead of minced beef? Yes, absolutely you can. So you can take out the mince, take out that 500, replace it with your corn, and put more veg in. What you want is kind of the same volume into your lasagna, but you don't have to use mince at all. You can use your favourite vegetables. You can use corn. You can use different mince. Some people prefer to use turkey mince. So make it yours. Make it what you like. I was just off to prepare our lasagna for tonight so we can cook together. Brilliant. Trying to keep up with your comments, guys. So I'm just cutting up a courgette. As I said, you can add more. I'm just going to add one large courgette. Feel free to give suggestions of other things that you might like to add. I'm going to do these, show you. Again, quite chunky. I've cut it. It's probably just under a centimetre deep, and it's halved. This will feed. I would say you'd probably get away with feeding 6, 4 definitely. But But yeah, it'll definitely feed. I think it'll feed 6. I like to serve it. I know this is a bit heavy on the carbs, but I like to serve them with like half a jacket potato and a bit of salad. Yeah, we tend to feed our family, and then there's usually a bit left for me for lunch. So I've got another hello from Anne-Marie. So I'm going to keep, you know what, I've got such a tiny little chopping board here. I'm going to get my courgettes and I'm just going to start popping them in with my onions. I've got nothing browning at the moment. It's just going a bit opaque, and it's just cooking along nicely, just softening. So just get the rest of the courgettes in. Oh. There we go. Lovely. So I'm going to show you my pan. Feeds 6. Yeah. Feeds. Yeah. Sorry, I'm reading your comments. But yes, it feeds 6. There you go. It's the onions and the courgette in there. I'm just going to turn it up a little bit because mine's just come down a bit on the temperature. And just give that a nice stir together. So the other thing you want to add is some garlic. Now, I do cheat a lot on this. I'm not today because I thought I'd be good, but you can use easy garlic. I don't know if you use it yourself, but you can get a jar of pre-done garlic in like it's kept preserved, and then you can just spoon in like a couple of teaspoons. But otherwise, I'm using 2 garlic cloves. And the way I'm doing it is I'm going to chop off the base bit here, and then just peel it to begin with. So peel 2 garlic cloves. Margaret's saying it's looking very nutritious. And so Lara says very enjoyable, excellent. What we want to hear. I do love cooking. And I think it should be a really enjoyable experience, and something that we look forward to doing. So what I want you all to enjoy with this is it not being too stressful, and the fact that we can have a bit of a natter with it as well, and just take some time out for ourselves. And plus the advantage is it's all done for later then. The other thing you can add to this is a bit of red wine. So I don't have any to hand, unfortunately, but you can, if you want to, substitute some of your water later with some red wine. So there's my garlic cloves, rather naked there. So I'm going to use the back of a knife, the side of a knife, and I'm going to press down to smush them up a bit. I'll show you. So a bit of a smushed up one. Oh, see if I can show you that. Make sure it's visible, a bit smushed up, and then I'm just going to dice those. I do really want to do that quite finely because I don't want a big mouthful of garlic too much. No one's going to want to sit next to that person. So give your garlic a bit of a dice up. I do this by rocking the knife. I'll see if I can show you here. So I rock it to the end of my knife here and never actually leaves the board. It's a bit safer that way. Would 4 cloves be too much? Well, it'll be a lot more garlicky, but if you like garlic, 4 cloves, I don't think will be too much. It will just be very much a garlicky lasagna. If you're using easy garlic, you could I would say it's not as potent as a garlic clove, so you could put a bit more in. Again, this is the good thing about this. I mean, obviously we're bakers. And a lot of baking is science in that we're looking for a reaction. We're not really looking for that with a lasagna. It's putting things together that you enjoy. So if you like garlic, go for it. Right, so there's my garlic. And I'm just going to pop that in. Oh, a bit more there. And I'm going to give that a stir up. Oops, lost a bit of onion along the way. Turn it up a bit more. There we go. Right, let's read some comments. Good, I'm going to make it for her, I think. Okay, Laura, I think you're making it for someone else. Excellent. So yeah, tell me what you're putting into yours if you're doing something different. Right, mushrooms. If you want to peel the outsides of your mushrooms, you can. I would definitely advise to make sure they're washed before you put them in. I actually don't mind the skins, so you can do this two ways. You can either, because it's chunky, you can just tear your mushrooms up into bite-sized pieces and put them in, or you can dice them. I like tearing them in because I like ease. It doesn't affect the flavour unless you want them tiny, tiny, tiny pieces. I like it chunky for different reasons. My daughter doesn't overly like mushrooms. Lara says she hates mushrooms. So, yeah, I don't blame you. If you don't want mushrooms, then obviously don't put them in. I've used a whole pack. I don't know if it says how much is in there. What's that? Bear with me. I'll tell you. Oh, it doesn't tell me. I thought they would. It's a whole pack of mushrooms that I've got on the side. But put in what you want. I might even use half of them because they are ginormous. And as I said, my daughter doesn't overly like mushrooms. My son loves them. It's a bit of a game of two halves in this household of finding things that they both will eat. But I find that if you make the pieces bigger, then she can always pick them out. Although I'm pretty sure she has probably eaten quite a few pieces without even thinking about it. It's only when she overthinks it. So there we go. I think you're all either watching avidly or busy cooking. If you do have any questions, do feel free to ask. I'll show you my pan. It's kind of full at the moment of those mushrooms. So we're going to cook them down. I like doing things that you just throw it in and you can use things up. I'm really keen to avoid food waste. So if I've got particularly butternut squash in this house, there's always seems to be leftover kale and butternut squash. So butternut squash I tend to roast up and chuck it into a salad or on a pizza or in a lasagna if I've got anything left over. Kale, I find I can just throw that into a salad or a curry. So just, use things up. Sarah's put, will this freeze? Yes, it will freeze. Cook it, cook your bolognese, prepare it so it's in the bowl, and then make sure your bowl can go in the freezer, or dish rather. But yes, you can cover it, seal it, and then freeze it, and then bring it out when you're ready for it. I think this is quite a good one for batch cooking. I've done it before that I've made big, especially if I've found something like reduced mince or I've got a glut of onions or something, I'll make a number of them and then put them in the freezer. And then that's just quite nice to have around when you just don't want to cook. So I would imagine your frying pan or your deep wide pan is probably looking a bit more cooked than mine. My little electric one takes a while longer. So I'm just going to leave mine for a minute. If yours is looking like it needs to be turned down because things are browning, just turn it down and cook it slowly. You need to boil your kettle. We need some hot water. I've already prepared mine, so I'm just going to give you a moment. You only need 200 ml of boiling water. So if you want to go and put your kettle on now, make sure you've got enough for a cup of tea as well. Joanne, what's the best way to hide the mushrooms in the lasagna? If you're trying to hide them, the best way is to dice them up really tiny, so it almost becomes part of a sauce. I've done it before, that any leftovers lasagna sauce, I've actually blended with more water to create a bit of a smoother bolognese and put that in. And my daughter will eat that. But she knows I put mushroom in it, so I do have to put the bigger chunks just so she's aware of it. But yeah, if you're trying to hide it, just chop it up really tiny. have them all blended. I often use up carrots, sweet corn, peppers, any veg, similar with spaghetti bolognese. I haven't been brave enough to make my own sausage yet, so looking forward to that part. Yeah, no, that's all you need to do. It's great. I love really rustic food. You want good taste and flavour and something that's good for you. And I just like the smell of it as well in the kitchen. There's something really quite comforting about home cooked food and that feeling it gives you. I personally find it quite therapeutic. Right, this does not seem to be cooking. Just checking we've got some heat. We have. Okay, so if you've got your kettle boiling, you're going to want 200 ml and a stock cube. Do you freeze the lasagna after it's cooked or before? Personally, I would freeze it before you cook it and then bring it out and defrost it and then cook it. Lara's put, will you be making anything else? Yes, Lara, we will. We are back with you for pancake making, so don't miss that. And we hope to have some more, so we'll get back to you on that. But we do love holding workshops. Day job is baking, but obviously I'm a mum of two. Both kids are upstairs doing their lessons at the moment, so baking and kind of home cooking are very much a part of everyday life for us here. Right, you need your mince, if you want to put mince in, or your corn, make sure you add that now. So if you've got half the amount of mince as well, please do put that in. If you don't have a big pack, it's not a problem. I know particularly if you are relying on Sainsbury's orders or just what you have in the freezer, and you can use frozen mince, you don't always have the right amount. This is nice and versatile. Yes, I love a pancake. Can you make tuna and egg pie? Tuna and egg pie? I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. I mean, we do loads. We're doing a workshop soon on another platform of 3-bean chili. So maybe that's something that you'd like to do, a nice veggie dish, a 3-bean chili. We'll talk to Village Halls and see what they fancy and what you guys want. So I've put my mince in, and that's just in the wide base pan, and I just want that to all brown. So mine, I'm going to just try the other. So I might turn that one off. See if that works. What else? We've got more tagging going on. Excellent. Right. Let me just brown that up. As I said, I'm really sorry this is a bit small. We either do it here on the island where we've got more space, or we go over to the hob where I've got my proper gas hob, but then it's really weird angles to try and demonstrate. So my husband bought me this. I think it'd be really useful, which it is, but I think we needed to maybe upgrade it a couple of levels. Lee's put, love Village Hall banter, keeping on it in the community. What a fab idea. I'm wearing a tag. Excellent. I'll tell you what, I think that the social aspect of these kind of workshops that are being held are fantastic, just for a little bit of tonic to the day, aren't they? Right, if you have a really browned meat, turn your pan down. Mine isn't, mine's playing up a little bit, so I'm vaguely tempted to go and put it on my big hob. I think, just for the purpose of keeping up with you guys, I'm just going to go and quickly pop it on the big hob. So bear with me whilst I quickly blitz it. Hang on, I'll be back with you. Right, don't worry, I'm not going too far away. So what we're going to do, whilst mine's just having a bit of a blitz up, is we'll start making the cheese sauce to go on top. So If you've got yours browned, turn the heat right down and just give it the occasional stir. And we'll just start with the cheese sauce and then we'll come back to the bolognese. If you give me a thumbs up, just so I know that you're okay with that. Fingers crossed you are. Or there's no thumbs up. Maybe you're not okay with that. Right. Thumbs up. Excellent. I think I was always better. I'm not going to get into that. Right. So we've got some butter there. I've got 60 grams of butter. You can use margarine as well. Pop it into the smaller pan that you've got there. This one. And let that melt. You want it on a medium heat and let that melt. Thank you for the thumbs up. I think there's a bit of a delay on it. Just give that a stir. We want that to be completely melted, and then we're going to add the same amount, 60 grams of plain flour, to make a paste, which is called a roux. And this is the start of your cheese sauce. There's a lot of thumbs up. There are a lot of thumbs up. So mine's melted down. I don't know if you can see that. It's quite far in the bottom. It's so melted. And I'm just going to add my 60 grams of flour. Oh my goodness, the thumbs up coming in now. So mix in your flour until it forms a paste. There we go. Do keep mixing it because you don't want the flour to burn. You want to cook it off slightly. So just keep mixing. And then to this, we're going to add our milk. We've got 450 ml of milk. We're going to add that gradually, just so that we don't end up with lumps. Bear with me, guys. I'm just going to go and rescue my bolognese. Keep stirring. Right, I'm back. I'm just wondering whether we've got a fuse gone on one side of this hob, but it's not a problem. We're on it. Right, I'm going to change over to a wooden spoon on my cheese sauce. So keep that stirring, and you'll find it becomes a really quite thick paste. Where do I get my cheese from? I get my cheese from Sainsbury's. We do have a supplier as well that occasionally brings us some nice cheese. So I like Liburn cheese personally, but for a cheese sauce, that's quite an expensive, extravagant thing to do. So I tend to just use, I like mature cheddar. So try that. Also, I've got a really nifty trick for cheese sauce to make it cheesier. If you don't want to put too much in it, or you haven't got enough left, is to put like half a teaspoon of mustard in with it. It brings out the flavour of the cheese. So with your milk, pour in a little bit at a time and mix it in just to add to that paste. So you'll probably find it seizes up and the paste seems to get thicker, which is crazy when you just put liquid into it. But just go with it and just keep adding until you've got a looser paste, and then it will eventually start becoming thin, and then we can add the rest of the milk, and it just avoids those lumps. As for your bolognese sauce, if it's you don't want it sticking to the pan, so if it is, just bring that off the heat for a minute, or turn the heat off, and we'll come back to that in a second. In fact, what you could do, if you've got your, it's multitasking this, if you have got your boiled water and you've got a free moment with your cheese sauce, you could always put a stock cube into 200 ml of water and just give that a stir too. But you might be a bit like that then. You've got time, so don't worry, guys. So if I show you, I don't want to spill it out, but it's just bringing that, incorporating the milk into the cheese sauce. So just keep stirring it. Mine's starting to loosen up now. Just really beat that milk in. I'm going to add the rest of some more milk, not all of it yet. Give that a stir. We'll eventually start coming together. Have we got any more comments? Anyone asking any questions? Anything else that you'd like to make? Give us some ideas. A good thing to go with this is some nice garlic noodles. There you go. And so you can put some mozzarella with those. And it's a nice side to it. Or just go with some more salad and have such a healthy meal. I suppose the only really naughty bit of it is your cheese sauce. It's not too naughty though. So add some more milk. It's gradually getting there. This is the bit that seems a bit more time consuming. And I think this is a bit that people can go wrong on, is just getting that cheese sauce. So just bear with it. I'll show you mine at the moment. Bear with me. So at the moment, it's a really quite thick, and it's going to thicken up still because of that roux that we started with. Like that. So we want to add some more milk. But now I feel a bit happier to gradually pour in that milk, and it's not going to be lumpy. So just keep stirring. There we go. And that's all my milk in. Now you notice I haven't actually put any cheese in this yet. And this is because, to me, cheese is quite expensive. Make sure that you get your sauce right first and that it's the right texture. And then when it starts to thicken, then put your cheese in. And then if it does go wrong, you've not wasted all your cheese. I like mustard, wood, anchovies spoil the lasagna. You could put a bit of anchovy in to put that kind of salty texture into it. Just want a lemon meringue pie. Making a lemon meringue pie whilst watching people. Very nice. Do you like a lemon meringue pie? Right, so your sauce, it should, at the moment, mine's quite runny, but that is going to thicken. So I'm just going to keep that on the heat and just stir it quite regularly. I make a white sauce for the layers and pour it on top and grate some cheese over it. So traditionally you do the layers. I quite like just putting the cheese sauce over the top and letting it run around the edges and then put some cheese on top of it. I see you put white sauce and then put some cheese over it. I'm going to put some cheese into this sauce. If you prefer to keep it a white sauce, do that. But I like putting a cheesy sauce all over the top. So back to your bolognese. Just keep an eye on that cheese sauce, just occasionally stirring it. Your bolognese, you should have browned mince if you've used mince. Your vegetables should be soft. I'll just bring that over, like so. So you want to add that 200 ml of boiled water and stock. I've already done mine just because I knew it was going to be a bit tricky doing boiling kettles and things at the same time. So you can pour that into it. And you also want some tomatoes. So I've just got a can of chopped tomatoes. And you want to put that into it. Right, so if you really like it tomatoey, you can add a bit of tomato paste too, but I find a can of tomatoes is enough. Lara said that she likes my kitchen. Where did I get it from? It's actually a newly installed kitchen, Lara. It's from Howden's. I can probably even tell you. Dove Grey, Clerken. There you go. We've got a newly installed kitchen for all our baking needs. The oven's behind me. If you're thinking cold, they're a bit big. They're actually, if I show you, they're really wide ones. They're an oven and a half. They're 90 centimetres wide. So so I've got the tomatoes and the stock into the bolognese sauce. What wine goes in? So I'd use red wine, Lee, and you can put either a smidgen in alongside your stock, or don't use all your stock and put a bigger splash of wine in it. But put that in now. None, because you normally drank it. I've got a feeling you lot know each other very well. Yeah, that's the other thing, is just drink it on the side instead. So you've got your cheese sauce on one hob, heating up. If you find it starts to thicken, just make sure you stir it so it doesn't go lumpy, and then you can put your cheese in. We've suggested about 70 grams of cheese. You can keep some aside for on the top, or you can grate a bit more to go on the top, whichever you prefer. So I'll just turn my temperature up a bit and get that going. Yeah, what else? Have you got any more questions? What else have you been up to today, guys? We've been making cream teas galore, like loads and loads of cream teas. Can Marmite be used instead of a stock cube? Yeah, you can. You could do a beef stock cube, a veggie stock cube. You could use a bit of Marmite if you wanted. If you don't have any of the above, just put a little bit of water in, or wine, and we're going to use some herbs as well. So you can always flavour it with that. So don't worry if you don't have a stock cube. Right. Just mentioned the herbs. I've got some Italian herb mix. You can use anything you like. I would suggest stick with like the Italian herbs. Go with oregano, go with thyme. You could use a bit of basil. But I mean, oregano's the big one, isn't it? Yeah, a bit of rosemary if you want, a bit of sage. Go for a bit of a mix. But I'd say oregano would be my go-to, or some Italian herbs. And you want about, I say a couple of teaspoons of herbs. You can also, if you choose to, you can put a bit of salt and pepper in this as well. But that's going into my bolognese sauce. Normally cheese sauce is taken off the heat. Is it different for lasagna? Well, it's not. If I had it on my big hob, this would be heating a lot faster. So if you find it's thickened, then yeah, take it off the heat and add your cheese. But mine is really quite thin still. I think I'm going to have a technician look at my hob today. Yeah, it's just going to take a bit longer, but it will get there. So once you've got your sauce done, I'll show you the sauce. Ooh. There you go. There's the sauce all in. Let's put that down. If you are lucky enough to have everything now ready, then you can start layering it up. As I said, I think from the comments, obviously those of you that make lasagnes already, you have your ways of doing it. This is a rustic, this is a quick, put it all in, use up things, lasagna. So if you want to layer it up in a different way, it's no problem at all. Let me get the dish. So I've got my dish there. What I do is I start with the bolognese sauce. So if, like me, if your cheese sauce is still a bit thin, don't worry, you can keep stirring that. We can add it in a bit. But you want to get your dish and add, what I do is I add a bit of a runny layer of bolognese sauce to it first. So it soaks up the, I've got dry lasagna sheets. You can use fresh as well, but then the sauce is kind of soaked up into the pasta, and the pasta doesn't stick to the bottom of the dish. So if I show you, that is just really runny. It's got bits in it, but it's just not got an excessive amount. I haven't got any courgettes in there or anything too chunky. It's just kind of acts to stop the pasta from sticking to the bottom. Now, my dish fits 3 pasta sheets along. Yours might be slightly different. You can break them, you can overlap them slightly, but something to that effect. Yeah? So it's covered. This is the perfect recipe for me, as I'm not confident with cooking traditional lasagna. No, this is very much, and we've written a couple of recipe books through lockdown, which is very much about being versatile, using things up. It's not trying to be an absolute cordon bleu chef. It's not trying to be, I mean, it doesn't have to be an absolute true traditional. It's just making something that's tasty and it's accessible and it's easy enough to do. I don't know whether to make this for my wife or my mistress. Lee, you're so naughty. Right, so I'm then going to scoop up in a ladle some more sauce and place it on top of the lasagna sheets. Guys, I have just stirred the cheese sauce as well, just making sure it's not sticking anywhere. So I'm going to put enough of the bolognese sauce that it covers the pasta sheet. You're going to put about 3 lots of pasta sheets into this. If you've got a wider dish, you might have a shallower lasagna. If you've got a deeper dish, you could go for a really deep fill lasagna. But that's kind of as much as I've covered it. It makes 6 and you'll be fine. And then cover with your lasagna sheets again. And then again, you're going to put some more bolognese. If you've got the heat on your bolognese, make sure you turn that off now because we don't need it. It's all been transferred. Let's do the same. There we go. Don't worry if your lasagna sheets don't go right to the edges either. It just means that when you do that cheese sauce at the end, it drips down in between the layers, which is quite nice. Or the sides of the layers. So another layer done. It's quite a big portion, there'll be enough to go around. Excellent. And then another 3 lasagna sheets. That is all you'll need. So I've used 9 lasagna sheets on this, guys. And then you want to put that final bolognese, chunky veg and mince mix over the top and just hide those lasagna sheets. You don't really want the lasagna sheets burning or being exposed. You want some sauce over them. So let me just scoop that up. It's getting quite heavy to hold in one hand to show you, so I might have to put this down in a minute. Now I've got in my pan a bit of the sauce left, so I'm going to pour that over the top and just fill it up. Or I'll tell you what I will do as well, is just give my cheese sauce a bit of a mix. There we go. Nice mix up, just stopping it from catching on the sides. So just going to pour the remainder bit over my lasagna. Careful not to grab the handle on my pan there. There we go. Just going to smooth that out. As I said, hide the lasagna sheet so they don't catch. So that's now all kind of layered up nicely. You can see it's quite near the top of the dish. If you are worried about the pasta, the lasagna going over, put your dish onto a baking tray before you put it in the oven. So my cheese sauce is nicely thickened up quite a bit. It's getting there. It's catching at the bottom a bit. It's thicker at the bottom, so I'm just going to constantly stir that. But it is thickening, so I'm going to put my cheese in. So I'm going to put the cheese bar a little bit that I want to put over the top just on its own. So this is already grated. It's about 70 grams, and I'm leaving just that little bit in the bowl for over the top of the cheese sauce, and I'm going to stir that in. And so if you want to put any mustard in to bring out that cheese taste, you can, depending on how you like it. It's snowing. Where are you? It's snowing. I'm quite jealous. I'm in Hampshire, and we don't really see the snow because we're too near the coast, I think. So, right, that's nice. A nice texture to the sauce. It's a little bit runnier than my normal one. I think if I left it on the hob a bit longer, it would thicken up a bit. But you know what? That is absolutely fine for a cheese sauce. If it is a bit thicker, as long as it spreads over the lasagna dish, then you're fine. North Yorkshire. Tad jealous, I've got to say. I'd like it to snow. I think I've only got 2 memories of it snowing down here. One was 2 years ago, and the other time was when my son was born. He's 11 now. I'm a Leicestershire girl at heart, so I remember it snowing, and I do miss it. Right, so I'm going to turn that one off as well. Your cheese sauce, I'm going to push my hob, make sure I don't burn anything, out the way. I'm going to see if I can actually tip this down a bit so you can see. Bear with me, guys. And I'll see if we can... What make pans are you using? I'm going to show off a bit here. I've got a Le Creuset wide base pan, which is my go-to. I do like it, it's good quality. And I've got some circulon pans as well, which we got for Christmas, which is supposed to be quite good for not having a hot handle. But I've got to say, my cheap set that I had before, they were fine too, just a bit worn. Right, so cheese sauce. I'm not sure if you can see this underneath the comments or not. I don't know if you can retract the comments, but I will bring it up. So I'm just going to pour it over and just drizzle it so I'm covering everywhere. And I'm going to do it gradually so I can go back over anywhere that isn't covered. And just don't worry if there's some of the bolognese peeking through. It doesn't matter. Just attempt to keep drizzling it over and down the sides until your dish is covered. There we go. I will get back onto your comments in a minute, I promise. There we go. There. Right. And I'm going to just put some cheese on top and then I will show it to you. The Creuset pans are awesome for bashing around the kitchen. They're heavy for bashing around the kitchen. I think that's the only thing I've got. I've got a new, because of the new kitchen, we got quite a few kitchen-based gifts. And I've got a really nice Villa and Bock casserole dish, which is beautiful and reduced. If anyone's really into their cooking, it's reduced at the moment in, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say stores, but it's in a bargainy type store for 75% off, but it's so heavy. When you filled it, you really have to have some muscles in your arms. Right, so there's the cheese sauce on top. You can see it's gone down the sides as well. And then I put some cheese on the top. Laura, yeah, you missed the cheese. So I just sprinkle the cheese in as my, I'll bring myself up here and then I'll bring the lasagna back up. As the cheese sauce thickened, or the white sauce thickened, I put the cheese in. So sorry about that if you missed it. Just grate about 70 grams of cheese and stir it in. And then once it's all combined, pour it gradually over the top and then sprinkle with your remainder cheese or extra cheese if you're a real fan of that. But it's really nice. I don't know if you can see underneath. You can see it's still got all the layers there, but the cheese sauce has gone around the sides. And I find that a bit easier than layering everything over and over again. Just stick it all on top. You will want to cook that at one. Make sure you've got a pen, because if, like me, you're going to put this in for about 6 o'clock dinner, you don't want to put it on yet. So just grab a pen, and you want to cook at 180 if it's a fan oven, 190 for conventional or gas mark 5. And you cook it for about 30 to 40 minutes. All you're really doing is cooking that pasta, so it's a nice soft pasta inside, and you want some nice golden top to your cheese sauce. And then my advice is get it out about, sorry Laura, get it out about 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes before you serve it, just so it kind of goes a bit firmer. If you serve lasagnes straight away, it's like a sloppy mess trying to get it onto a plate. So just give it a few minutes just to firm up before you serve up. This is how I make lasagna, but I prefer the taste of the recipe they use in the Italian restaurants. What do they do differently? oh, you know what, they might be putting eggs in it and all sorts into their sauce. I'm not an Italian chef, unfortunately, Jan. They're probably putting bay leaves and celery into their sauce. There'll be a lot more going into the preparation in a true authentic lasagna. A lot more herbs. The stock will be a lot more prepared, and their sauce as well. A lot of fine ingredients. So that's probably what you like, and you might find that it is that layered, so the cheese, the white sauce is sitting in between. Lara says, I like my pasta raw. I've never tried it raw. Mind you, I do like making pasta, but I still cook it. So that is it. If you have any questions, please do feel free to ask. You've got me online for a few more minutes, and I'm happy to take any questions. I'm an Italian chef. We tend to use Italian ingredients, yeah. So it will be the more refined ingredients. And you've probably got, I would imagine, Louise could probably confirm it for me, that they'll make their own pasta. And there's quite a difference when you're making your own pasta. They also use half beef and half pork mince sometimes. Yeah. I mean, if you've enjoyed this, you can always change it up and put different mince in it or try different vegetables. You might want to, if you've got some overripe tomatoes, you could chuck that in it rather than a tin of tomatoes. So you can really make it your own. This is just a kind of go-to for having a go and making a sauce. Thank you so much for your workshops, says Priscilla. You are very welcome. It's been lovely to be with you. The white sauce is a true bechamel, white with onion, cloves, etc. Yeah. So Louise is just saying about the processes. It is more processes. I've got a book on like proper MasterChef kitchen, and it's it all just takes a lot longer. And if, like me, you're trying to juggle a number of things and you just want a nice go-to meal, this has got a lot of nutrition in it. It's filling, it's warming. But it's not too much to make. Is the pasta pre-cooked? Yeah. So this is dried pasta sheets. You can buy fresh ones and use those. You can make your own if you so wish. Love this. Make my day. Thank you so much. You're very welcome, Lara. Glad you've all enjoyed it. If you'd like more, do let Virtual Halls know. But I said we're going to come back and do some pancake making with you. So we'll pop up something about that soon, and we'll all have a lot of fun. Please, I will attempt flipping a pancake, but it's not my forte. It may not come back down. Thank you for a simpler way of making. That is my forte. Thank you very much. Making things a bit more simple. So that is me done for the day. You know what you're having for dinner tomorrow. Excellent. You're very welcome. So I'm Michelle from Boozy Bakers. I'm glad you joined us today. Thank you very much. And we will see you again next week. Thanks, guys. Bye.